Today's episode is brought to you by Nuchido TIME Plus, the next generation NAD Plus boosting supplement. You've probably heard about NAD Plus. It's a trending topic in the wellness world right now. But what exactly is it? NAD is a natural molecule found in every cell of the body. It's essential for energy production, repair and recovery. When NAD levels drop, which happens as we age, you can feel it. More fatigue, brain fog, poor sleep and slower recovery after we exercise. We only allow brands on this podcast that I truly believe in. And I've been taking Nuchido TIME Plus now personally for 3 months. I've noticed so much more energy and clarity throughout the day. And on the inside, I know that my cells are being looked after. And what makes Nuchido different is it doesn't just give your body precursors like NMN or NR or pure NAD Plus like injections, which your cells just can't utilize. Instead, it's a multi-ingredient formula designed to fix the root causes of NAD Plus decline. Nuchido TIME Plus is the only supplement proven in human clinical trials to reactivate the enzyme that powers NAD Plus production in your cells. So your body starts making its own NAD Plus again, just like it did when you were young. It's also been shown to reduce inflammation, boost energy, improve sleep quality, and even help reverse biological age. If you want to optimize your cellular health, head to nuchido.com and use the code PEMFPOD at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. A quick disclaimer before we begin. The PEMF podcast does not contain any medical advice, and the content provided is for informational purposes only. If you have any health concerns, please visit a healthcare professional. Welcome back to another episode of the PEMF podcast. Today is a very different podcast. If you're watching this, you'll probably see us sitting in a field full of cows. We originally booked a studio in London, and our guest messaged us just before and said, how about doing this in a field? Which I was absolutely buzzing for. Our podcast producer, Josh wasn't so keen, but here we are. So I don't know how this is going to go, but let's give it a try. This guy I've wanted to get on our podcast for 2 years since I met at the Health Optimization Summit, and instantly fell in love with his brand. I just think he's a great guy on an incredible mission. The brand itself, we'll talk about that, Organised, and I'll just give a brief introduction. It's blended organs, so people might be like, what is this? So listen in, we'll talk about what the brand is, and I want to deep dive into our guest's kind of story and where he's going. So Niall Kiddle, welcome to the PMF podcast.
Thank you for having me on. I feel like this is how all podcasts should be. No need for studios.
Exactly.
I also sound really difficult as a guest.
No, exactly. Yeah. Some people have asked for certain things, but not to change a studio into a field. But that's cool. We try new things. And we're both doing this with no shoes on because it's all about ancestral and going back to nature. So one of the big things that I'm always into is this kind of ancestral living. And, this is the PMF podcast, but the mission I try and put across to a lot of people is that we can use this tech in our homes, and it helps to replicate nature, especially living in the UK, it can get cold and that sort of thing. But it's so important to connect back to nature. But let's start with the meat side of things and the raw side of things.
Shall we address?
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room, or the heart on the table, should I say?
Yeah. Have you ever eaten organs like this, just raw, fresh?
I've tried liver before.
Okay. Not done heart?
Not done heart.
Definitely not
like
kidney.
this.
Heart's all right. Heart's more like a muscle. It is a muscle, so it tastes a little bit more like steak, and I actually kind of like it raw. Liver and kidney, I can't say that I like it, but I definitely do. I think liver's the one food that if it's raw and I'll just cut it up a little bit low on energy or something, it's the one thing that I can eat and I genuinely feel like a difference in energy, like pretty much within 20, 30 minutes.
So why do you think it is better to eat meat raw? Do you think if you had a choice of just eating raw, just eating cooked, what would you choose?
Probably raw. Yeah. I eat raw steak a lot. Like I said, I eat raw liver. I think everyone's different, and some people just can't stomach that. And I know it's so far removed from the way that we eat our food today. But in my experience, eating raw meat is so much easier to digest. And there is a process to it. I don't just go to Tesco and pick up a raw steak. Like, I'll go to the farm, I'll meet the farmer, shake their hand. I want to see the soil like we are today. I want to see where the cattle are, how they've been brought up. I want to know the practices that they do and know that I can trust it. I want to know there's no hormones, no vaccines. And when you get to that point, like that level of scrutiny towards the cattle, you can be so confident that the quality of meat, you're not going to get sick from it. But like, you know, you can get sick from anything. You can get sick from a cabbage from Tesco or something. Like everything has a chance to get sick, but doing that sort of due diligence before can kind of put your mind at rest. And the reason that I do it is I experimented a little bit, like probably 2 years ago, staring at this would have been so weird for me. And but now
how I'm feeling right now.
yeah, and it digests a lot easier for me. There's sometimes when I eat a steak, I'll cook it and it does just sit a bit heavy in my stomach. Whereas if I do, you know, I'll get a steak, cut it up raw, olive oil, sea salt, burrata, celery, like a bit of parmesan or something, mix it up, almost like a tartare. And this is the other thing is, if you go to a fine dining restaurant and you get tartare, carpaccio, it's almost like because you're in a restaurant and it's fine dining that it's okay, but you have no idea where that meat's come from. So for me to go and prepare it myself, meet the farmer, get the actual meat, and then make something at home is actually, in my opinion, a lot better. And just from my experience, like it digests a lot easier. I get the energy quicker. I don't feel so heavy, so bloated.
No, cool. Should we try it?
Let's do it. What do you want to start with? Should we start with the one that you know? The liver.
Why not?
Yeah. All right. I'll get a decent little chunk for you. How's that?
This one, yeah?
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Can't say I love it. It's all right. It's actually better with raw
it's not the
honey.
worst, is it?
A little bit of sea salt is way better.
I'm surprised. I mean, I have tried liver before on its own, but not. I don't make it a frequent thing.
This is actually my favorite one to eat raw, but it's a little bit difficult to cut. Actually, that's all right. How much do you want?
The fact it's still bleeding on the table.
Are you hungry? Do you want quite a lot?
No, I'm good.
All right, that'll do. Grab a piece.
Yeah.
It would be quite funny if we did get sick on the podcast. Okay, this one.
Bit chewier.
Yeah, the heart's all right. This one, though, I hate kidney.
I've heard it's quite pissy.
I don't even know what to describe it as. It's just, it's not great. I probably would cook the kidney just because I don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
I find with the heart, having it raw is actually the same as having it cooked. Like it doesn't taste that different to it. Maybe just season it, put some olive oil or something on it. But probably time for the kidney now.
You sold it well.
Oh, God. I feel like it's the aftertaste. It's the bush tucker trial.
Is it a pass?
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. I know what you're saying about the kidney, the aftertaste.
Yeah.
Actually eating it, I was thinking I could do another slice of this, but now I just want it taken off the table. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. You done that pretty easy though.
No, I'd say I am into this sort of stuff. I understand it. It's just we just don't do this enough, in the world we live in. So, do you think we're getting more nutrients this way? Do we cook off the nutrients and things when we're eating them?
Yeah, there's 100% heat sensitive nutrients. So when you cook things, you break down enzymes, especially with milk. Pasteurizing milk is another one. Getting rid of the probiotics, and so there's an element that definitely denatures the food that you eat when you cook it. And that's why I try to get in raw meat when I can. And I really enjoy it. Like I found a way to do it that I enjoy it. So it's almost like I'm not like forcing myself to do it. Like I genuinely love the tartare dish that I make at home or whatever. So I just experiment, find something that you like. But at the same time, if you really hate it, everyone's different. And I wouldn't say it's a 100% necessity to always have it raw. And
why organs? Because, most people, if they eat meat now, raw meat, red meat, it's a steak. You go to a restaurant, there's not, how many restaurants do we know that serve liver? You get a good steak. Is there a difference in the nutrients values in organs and steak?
Absolutely, yeah. Liver is really, really high in vitamin A, B12, iron, choline, carnitine, folate. There's so many nutrients that organs are so much higher than steak. Steak's great. It's got a lot of B12, got a lot of iron. The trouble is it tastes so good. And we're in this world where you can go to the supermarket and you can get anything you want. Like we have access to everything. My grandparents, so my grandma, for example, grew up on a raw dairy farm in Ireland. The family would buy half a cow, and that cow would get eaten, like every single little scrap. Even the bones would go in a bone broth, the hooves, everything would be used. And we're now in this world where it's like, oh, let's just get a steak, let's get a sirloin, ribeye, whatever, get the nicest cuts. We throw so much of it away. And admittedly, like it's not the most tasty part of the animal, but it is the most nutrient dense. And one of the things for me was my gut health and finding out that I used to take so many supplements. I was obsessed. I used to work at a company called Health. I was one of the first employees there. I was the guinea pig. I was trying proteins and amino acids, multivitamins. And I was so into like trying to optimize through these like artificial synthetic things. And I was taking so many things. I had so many gut issues and I couldn't work out. On the front side, I was like, yeah, I feel great. But then actually inside, I knew deep down like something wasn't right. My gut wasn't great. I had skin issues. Then I came across Paul Saladino, what he was doing. I was lucky enough to go out to Costa Rica, work with him for a little bit, do some videography there. And I stopped taking all the supplements and I went completely whole foods, organs, just back to like how my grandparents literally ate. And pretty much within a couple of weeks, like I had no gut issues. And I remember just thinking, this is how it should be. The way that my digestion was working, and maybe it's too much information, but like every single day was like clockwork. Like I'd go to the toilet at the same time. I'd have no stomach pain. Like stomach pains aren't normal. And so I got a lot of these symptoms out. Then I went back home and I started making smoothies to try and convince my mum to get it. So I had to find an easy way to get organs in my mum's diet because she's had IBS for like 15 years. She would never ever eat this on the table. So I try sneaking it into smoothies and stuff, but it's pretty disgusting. I found cooking it. So I would do like a bolognese or something, shepherd's pie. It's so easy to disguise liver. If you just cut it up and put it with some mince, really easy to disguise it there. So I started doing that. And I would tell her like, she'd be like, oh, this is really nice. I'm like, yeah, I'll just put some liver in there. And once she's tasted it, she's fine with it. But her IBS went away when I started giving her collagen and organs. And so now she saw the effects of it. That's part of her daily diet. And that's really what prompted me to create Organised and what we've got sitting here. And it's a much easier way. I mean, we can make some now, but it's a much easier way to get organs into your diet. Tastes a lot better than this. And I wanted to make that more accessible to people because I know no one, looking at this, it does look pretty disgusting.
Yeah. No, and I love that story because I was obsessed with the Liver King. Like, I saw all his content. I thought it was amazing. The early content, let's just put this into context first. The early stuff that he was putting out there, I just loved his message, kind of bringing liver back into the diet and all that sort of thing. And that's when I was like, I'll try this raw liver or I'll try and get it into diet a bit more and that sort of thing. And the same story was with my wife. Like, when I was trying the raw liver or cooking the liver, there's no way she would try it. Like, she's very straight down the line. Like, she pushes chicken around the plate often if it's, if there's a vein in it or something.
Really?
Like, it's got to be like, it's got to look their version of normal, which isn't what chicken looks like these days. And when I met you 2 years ago at the Health Optimization Summit, I saw your blend and I was like, this is me all over. Like, I love this idea. So there's a number of different organs in here, and I now have it every single morning without fail, like in my morning shake. And I was doing it for about 6 months, and I said to my wife, like, she's like, I'm never going to try that. Never in my life am I going to put that anywhere near me. Just because of the thought of it. It's like, what organs are in this one?
Liver, heart, kidney, lung and spleen.
Exactly. So you say that to someone, they're like, no thanks. Like,
I love the reaction.
I'll stick to the huel. It's like, I'll have something, or, the chocolate shake, that'll do me. But I've got my wife on it now and she's obsessed with it. She will have it every single day as well. And I even put raw egg in it. So I do some raw milk, raw egg in it, a couple of scoops of Organised, and then she has a little bit of raw cacao as well, just to kind of give it a bit of flavour. Yeah. And sometimes we put some coffee in it, or, so you can mix it up and you can turn it into something that, doesn't taste like organs. It doesn't anyway, because you've flavoured it with raw honey. Yeah. But we managed to get that into her diet, and we have that every single morning now without fail. Like, I absolutely love it. And she has seen so many differences with her gut issues.
Awesome.
So it's like, that's why one of the reasons I was like, I've got to get this guy on the podcast. Like, we've got to share this story. Like, I absolutely love it.
Let's make someone.
Let's do it.
Put them together.
And by the way, I'm really regretting doing the meat section first because my mouth.
This will wash it out. This will wash out.
No, this is a good
Just
time
found a
to do
spoon
it.
in here as well.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. All right.
You've definitely got that upside down.
Yeah, that's all right. Been doing 2 days at the Health Optimization Summit, just making samples for everyone.
So you're mixing 2 scoops of that now with some raw milk.
Yeah, we got some raw milk. I'm trying not to spill this.
Everywhere.
Kaya, my girlfriend who's here, she the first summit was so funny because she was making a sample for a customer and literally like put this right at the top, got it all over the customer. Easy. There we go. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Wash down that raw meat taste. What do you think it tastes like? Like, what would you describe that as?
I mean, most of it is the milk. Like, most of it you can taste the milk. And it's just got a sweet kind of honey aftertaste, I think.
Yeah. The way that I describe it is like the milk at the end of a cereal bowl.
That's it.
I don't know, like if you growing up with that kid just like drinking the milk like out of the bowl, but I literally love that so much. And I built the product purely for my taste. I hate chocolate flavouring, vanilla flavouring. I can't stand it. And obviously back when I was working at Health and I was trying like certain proteins, vegan proteins, I don't want to say names, but they are so like banoffee flavour and like at the time I was like, oh, that sounds good. I try it for like a day and I'm like sick of it. So I actually never wanted to take protein. I really went off protein. But then when I wanted to get organs back into an easy product, capsules, I can't stand them either. And so I
had some liver capsules and they really don't taste great.
Well, they sit in your, I don't know if it's just me, but I literally can't digest them. Like I'll feel it sort of like burping after I've had it. And you have to take like 6 a day and you're just getting like 1 or 2 organs in that. So I wanted to make a much easier way to do it. I was like, surely you can get the freeze-dried organs, just put it into a powder. I really want collagen. I know collagen's great. I feel great on collagen. So I started putting that. Beef protein, I wanted to get amino acids in there. And then just put it in with some Celtic sea salt and raw honey. And the taste is like, it just tastes natural. Like it doesn't have a certain taste to it. Like I don't think all proteins need to have a flavor. It just puts some raw honey in it and maybe a little bit of maple syrup or something that's natural sugars. And you can disguise the organs in it.
That's it. And I think that's a good way to say it because like, we can drink this now and we enjoy it. I think sometimes it's nice to introduce people with a bit of flavour and then you can wean them into it. But like I say, I mean, you're giving this out at the Health Optimization Summit and it's going down pretty well. It's not what you would imagine. If you said to someone it's got a spleen in it and heart and kidney,
I love the reaction. I honestly, you get, I mean, most people at that summit have some sort of understanding because they're biohackers and they're trying to optimize. And when it comes to nutrients, you know that optimizing with offal is the best way. It's the most nutrient dense foods you can get. So there is that understanding there, but there's occasionally you get like maybe like a vegan or a vegetarian or some older lady that has like no idea about it. And it kind of feels like there's a generational thing as well where my mum's generation is very much like removed from how my grandparents grew up, where my grandparents grew up eating calves liver and like I said, like the whole animal. And they're the ones that actually, they again like have a raw egg in their smoothie. They're 90 years old, they're thriving, they take Organised. And they were a big inspiration for me, just like I knew there was something there with offal, and just doing it the way that we've done it for thousands of years. And then I sort of really got into the ancestral diet and Paul Saladino and that kind of stuff. But super interesting because having come from the supplement world, and at the time I was like, I'm never going to stop taking supplements and things. Now literally I only take Organised. And a lot of people say, what other supplements do you take? Because it's obviously not high in magnesium. It's very high in like B12, iron, sort of meat nutrients. So what other supplements would you take with it? And the way that I was sort of describing it is it depends on your diet, because for me, I eat a lot of fresh organs. I would always say to someone, like, forget supplements, just go straight to the whole food source, like go to the farmer, get the best quality food and eat whole foods, and then kind of work back from there. You don't want to start at the supplement side. And this is what I was seeing at the summit, where people are trying to leapfrog over to the shortcut. They're oh, my diet's terrible. Like, what can I do to feel healthy? Like, will this make me feel better? I'm like, I don't know. What do you eat? Like, the foods that you eat all day, every single day, are what matters most. This is just something that really helps on the side. But you've got to start from the source.
No, I agree. And, you see biohackers out there now, like Brian Johnson and things, like taking, he's full vegan. So he's taking 150 supplements a day or something to complement everything that he's not getting. But, when we get guests on this podcast, I love to see similarities with them and kind of see, because then the conversation flows much better. And what you were saying there about like your parents and the ancestral way and that, like, I grew up next to a farm, and my dad has always been into like, you kill to eat, it cook, and if you kill anything, it's to eat it. It's part of the process. And one of the things that he did with me and my brother was, he took us out shooting quite regularly, and we'd go and shoot rabbits, and then he taught us to skin the rabbit, and we had these 2 cats that would eat all the organs, and you could just see them just going crazy for it. Like, it was absolutely insane. It was like the best meal they've ever had. And then we would cook it. We'd have a rabbit stew that night, and we'd done this whole process. And it's funny, my little girl's got a 3 and a 6-year-old, and I've just said to my 6-year-old, I was like, I'm gonna one day I'm gonna take you out, and I'm gonna take you and shoot a rabbit, and we're gonna skin it, and we're gonna eat it. And the look on her face, really? Honestly, it was like, what's happened? Like, what, have you knocked your head or something? Like, but they don't really know where the food comes from. Honestly, like, they just think, well, the food just comes out of the supermarket. Like, what do you mean we're going to go into a field and find an animal and kill it and get the meat from it? What it's that whole process. And for me, it's trying to drill that message into, we're so far removed now from what we ever was.
Yeah.
And even our business, we're a tech business. We have PEMF devices, red light devices, all these things to bring nature into the home, like red light therapy instead of the sun and that sort of thing. But you have to reconnect, and you have to do all these things. Like, we're standing here with our feet on the grass at the moment. I love grounding. I think it's incredible.
It's so interesting, just to jump in there, like the fact that you're talking about being far removed. If you can't blame people that are growing up in today's world, where they go to get food, they go into this big warehouse type building, blue light, everything's on display, anything you want. And it's come from like South Africa, Chile, New Zealand, like all these different amazing fruits. They taste amazing. You got any selection of meat. You got all these different packaged things, like 90% of the things in there are like in these shiny packets. And like, if that's only the place that you're getting your food for your whole life, and then you say to someone, right, let's go shoot an animal and skin it. They're like, what? So my little brothers, they're all under 10 years old. And when they were about, the eldest, when he was like, he's 10 now. So when he was 8, and then the second eldest at 6, I wanted to show them where food actually comes from. And their boys, like, they were really up for it. They knew that I had an air rifle, and they really wanted to, because I talk about it a lot. So they were asking me to shoot this pheasant that was in the garden. So we shot the pheasant, and I said, I'm only going to do it if you're involved in the whole process. So you got to help me pluck it, get the feathers out. I want to show you the organs. You got to like name the different organs in there. We're going to cook the whole thing. We're going to eat the whole thing, not waste a single thing. Like, are you up for that? It's going to take a few hours to do it. Like, it is a big process. And then I'll show you how to cook it and prepare it. And they did it, and they absolutely loved it. And we did it quite early on. But now they know where food comes from. Like, luckily, my dad, he lives on a farm. So they're very much in nature, and they see animals, and they do that a lot. They go to the farms and things. But I think it's so important that kids have that knowledge from like day one, basically.
No, 100%. I think it's really good. And you mentioned about shooting pheasants, and actually brought me back to me and my brother went out with an air rifle once, and we shot a pheasant that we didn't realise that it was a farmer's. It had a tag on it.
Oh God!
And it was literally that. And he was so obsessed with this pheasant that it was literally gone for one day. And he came knocking. He said, "Have you seen the pheasant?" And me and my brother just sit there bawling our eyes out. We didn't even tell our dad, because we knew what had happened and we knew what we'd done.
Yeah.
And no, it just reminded me. So
wait, was it a pet?
I think it was just owned by. It was like their prize pheasant. I don't know if I should be saying this, because it might have been out of season. I'm probably going to get arrested now. But
that's so funny.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked about meat a lot as well during this podcast, and I know you don't want to be known as like just solely the meat guy. But actually, before I come on to that, one thing that you touched on just then was like the process of going into the supermarket and that. And I know we spoke before this podcast, and you kind of put in this whole mission on hold at the moment. But
one thing that was really interesting to me is you want to set up this app. You've got an app at the moment which is connecting people to local farms that are selling raw milk, which is great because I didn't know where to start to find raw milk until I had a look on the app and found somewhere close to us that's doing it. But you've got like a longer mission, like a long kind of vision to eventually connect the consumers back to the farms, which I think's like amazing. You know, this if you can pull this off over the years, you know, this is going to be groundbreaking. You know, because the supermarkets in the middle of all of this seem to be a big problem in terms of local businesses, local farms. You know, they're just cutting the margin out of everything, cutting the quality out of everything. Because I understand, you know, they're selling product that has a sell by date. They need it gone. They need to do. There's all these processes that they have to come up against. But what's your long-term goal into connecting people back to the farms, and how's that going to look?
Yeah, definitely. When I started getting into whole foods and eating animal-based, I was trying to find the best quality farms and moving away from supermarkets. I knew about the global food chain. I got a little bit into like locality as well, and just knowing where my food came from. But then as I went deeper into it, I realized that supermarkets, the only way they can make profit is by cutting out all these farms, these independent farms. And we've seen 6,000 in the UK go very recently. There's, you know, in the next few years, 50% of them are going to be completely gone, just out of business because of new rules, regulations, pricing, everything's becoming money orientated. And that really annoyed me when I found out. The further I went into it, the more like I genuinely felt upset about it, because I kind of see where we're going to this monopoly of global food chain where someone who only cares about profit, doesn't give a fuck about the quality of the food, is going to control the entire food system. And it's not just in the UK. I went to Australia, same thing. Europe, it's happening everywhere. US is really bad. And we're just seeing this like slow movement towards this like single food system where we're getting things from South Africa and Chile and importing it like super cheap, getting kiwis from New Zealand. And it just like makes no sense, because, you know, my grandparents would walk into a supermarket, my great grandparents would walk into a supermarket, and they wouldn't recognize anything that's in there other than like the fresh fruit and veg and stuff. And, you know, I think we've got to this place where there's just so much access to it. And really, I want to take it back to the people who care the most about the cattle. They care about the soil health. They care about things that people who control the food system don't. And so I've started to, just to give context, when I launched Organised, it was really well paired with raw milk, because it's something that's had a huge impact on my gut health. And so I was saying, you know, take Organised with raw milk. And the biggest question was, where do I get raw milk from? And it is hard, because farmers don't do marketing, farmers don't do great websites. So it is difficult to get it. There's only a few farms in the UK that do it. So I created an app and I listed the raw milk farms on there, and I made it super simple. It was an Organised app, and it just really helped you have a great experience with Organised. What I found was, after a few months of launching the app, there were people reaching out to me, farmers reaching out to me saying, didn't realize I was on your app, but we've seen a massive increase in footfall in the farm, and it's coming from the Organised app. And it happened like once, twice, 5 times, 10 times. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy. And it's just Organised customers finding the app and then going to the farms. And it shows that there's a real need for it. And so that lit a fire in my belly. And I started to look more into how can we actually make more of an impact. So we started to do things like grass-fed beef farms. And, you know, we're sitting here at a farm that does grass-fed beef. It's grass-fed, grass-finished. They use regenerative, traditional farming methods that the lady, she was telling me her granddad, who bought the land, was doing back in like the 1930s. So it's so interesting to see how farmers are actually going back away from this like conventional antibiotics and relying on like vaccines and giving grain to fatten them up and mature the cow quicker. And like cows need grass. The cows literally eat grass. And so I wanted Organised to be the vehicle for me to change the food system. Like if I could have one thing in life, it is to get people going back to farms to get better quality food. And I'll be doing this to the day I die. Like this is my life's work. And so what I've learned in business is that you have these core values, and the core values never change. So the core values for Organised is that we have the absolute highest quality, we champion farmers, and we always work on continuous improvement. And continuous improvement in the sense that we've got one product, but we're always learning about, you know, that we're doing research and we're learning about sourcing and we're making it better and better. But with those core values, you can have missions that change over time. So our mission right now is to restore lost nutrients into the modern diet, because the modern diet's lacking in things like this that my grandparents grew up on. But what we have in the future is this, I want to move Organised to this mission where it's like getting people back to regenerative agriculture, going back to the farmer, going to the source, knowing the person that grew the food, because it's changed my life. Like, that's a huge experience for me. I was very like, I've only been a year into the business and it's absolutely taken off. It's been flying. And so I was getting really excited and trying to do two things at once. But what I've realized is the product is doing so well at the moment that we need to really lean into that. And that's going to give us the resource, because I want to create something that genuinely changes the food system. So it's got to be super easy. It's got to be as easy as Amazon. It's got to be convenient. It's got to be able to match the price. And right now it's very expensive to go to independent farmers. It's difficult to find them. So it's got to solve all of those problems, and it's got to solve the logistics issue. And at the same time, I don't want to make money from this. So I want to create a zero commission platform, because supermarkets are taking 60 to 70% off the farmer right now. So to do all of that, we have to grow Organised, and Organised is going to be the flywheel essentially to create that platform. And it all goes hand in hand. Like, the ingredients we use in Organised are from regenerative farms. We're trying to find the best quality sourcing. We're bringing it to the UK. So yeah, it really ties in towards this like direction of much better quality ingredients and food.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And that's something that I think if you ask most people, if you had an app that you could just go on there and order your food from, and that it's coming directly from the farm, it's just going to be insane. And I think people would even, if they needed to, they'd pay a little bit on top, just to know that they know, like you say, they know where the food's coming from. They know it hasn't been tampered with. It's not been preserved and all that sort of thing. And it's just, again, just as I am with Organised, I'll be an absolute number one fan of an app like that. So you got to keep this mission going, and you've got to get this off the ground.
The crossover as well is that I found, and especially speaking at people at the summit, I've been doing this for a few years, and just every single person who buys Organised wants better quality food. Like, that is just the customer. People that are getting more nutrients into the diet are also people that want to get better quality food. So it really makes sense to have this available to them. But there's just so much to do. I think the biggest piece for it is the logistics, because we've got farms spread across all over the UK, independently doing the best quality food. Produce is only lasts a few days. Like, you can't store that in a warehouse or anything. We want to get rid of the supermarkets. We want to go directly from farm to customer. So how can we open up all these farms to one single basket? So you've got multi-farm, single basket. And what we've been working on, and there's some really amazing partners that can help us with this, and using electric vehicles, and there's innovations in AI that have allowed innovations in like the courier side of things. And we've worked out that there is a way to link up all the farms to a single place where it can get packed into one box, because again, you don't want 3 or 4 boxes coming at your house at different times, different days, because you've got to be in to get that into the fridge. So you want one single box, full tracking of it. And because of the way that things are with Amazon, we're so used to that next day delivery. So it's got to be next day. And we've got a path to get there. But like I said, focusing on the blend right now. And then in the next sort of year or so, we're going to really start to see that amazing innovation in logistics. And at the same time, like I'm saying this, I want other people to create these kinds of platforms, because everywhere you look, there's platforms that maybe they look good on the surface, but they're still taking 40% from the farmers. And it's just so difficult to make a living as a farmer. And I went to Hill Farm. I sat down with his family, and his mum cooked us dinner, and every ingredient was from the farm. And it was one of the most amazing experiences. But just seeing the amount of work they put in for what they actually get out of it, it is like, they do not stop working. They don't have a day off. Like, it's Matt and his brothers and his mum. And I have so much respect for it. And it's just, the more I look into it, the more I feel like I get drawn to that world.
And, the mission, Organised, everything, it's getting some proper attention. And, and someone has approached you, wants to help grow the brand, and that's Bear Grylls. And it's like, it's incredible to see, because someone like him is so ahead of the curve, and he is really into this farm, the regenerative farming, the meat, where it comes from, all this sort of thing. He's really ahead of the curve. And like I say, when we get guests on, we have these things that are all kind of in the universe. It's strange. And 10 years ago, when I started NewMed, actually 12 years when I started NewMed, a couple of years into that process, Bear Grylls bought a PEMF mat. And, I was able to have a conversation with him. It was absolutely insane. I was like so starstruck at the time. It was our first kind of big celebrity that ordered from us. And he just got it. He just understood, like the whole process of grounding and what PEMF adds to it and how that can help. He was using it to treat a shoulder injury at the time. And it's just cool to see how he got it. And it's like these guys are kind of real trailblazers. But how did that come about? And, with Bear, did he contact you? And what's his mission in all of this?
Yeah, it's a very similar story to you, to be honest. We were going for about 8 months, so this is maybe about 6 months ago, and just saw his name come through on the Shopify. I'm like, there's no way, like this is a joke. And you just look into it, and then I realized it was him. And so I sent him a message just saying, hey, I really, really love everything you do and just appreciate you being a customer, and didn't really think too much of it. Then I saw his son, Jesse, buy it. Shara bought some, and this was a few months later, and I'm like, it's so cool that his family's buying it. They must love the product. So I reached out again and just said, really appreciate you guys supporting the business. And I didn't think too much of it, but I think where he is now, like 10 years ago, he bought a PEMF mat. I was still in school. I had no idea what that was back then. Like he's early in the game. He knows about, he's just, what I found is he's like very like based as how he would call, like he drinks raw milk, he eats organs, he goes to his local farm. I've been to maybe like 5 farms that have said, yeah, Bear Grylls buys from us. I just find like he's already doing it. Like he lives and breathes it. And I think now he's in a place where he's built up this amazing personal brand. Like what he's got globally is pretty remarkable, to be honest. And he wants to direct that towards the same mission. I think he's just felt stronger and stronger over time. So he replied to my message saying, let's jump on a call. And as he looked more into Organised, and I guess he took some time to vet the brand and really look into the ingredients that we use, the sourcing, he felt like that really resonated with him. And so it was a very natural thing. And we've just kind of worked out how can we use Bear's face and his brand to amplify the mission. And so we've got some ideas. We're going to be going like very much boots on the ground kind of thing to farms and just raising awareness. Like someone like him is the perfect kind of person to show that there is a real problem in this country, not just here, but like everywhere, where we're falling into this system, this like monopoly, this global food chain. But we have the ability, like we can vote with our pound. And so we can vote by going to the farmer. And I think that's really what he wants to do. And it's super aligned with us as a brand. So we're going to be that vehicle for him to amplify the message.
I think you can relate that back to like Jamie's school dinners and things, can't you? Like, it's like just that mission of like changing something, because there was a problem in society. The school dinners were just completely broken, and to some degree, I still don't think they're fixed. No. But there was that knowledge base that came from those sorts of movements. So incredibly excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely.
I mentioned it a little bit before. So you don't want to be kind of just known as the meat guy. So you're not the liver king. You're not. It isn't just meat. You do need to get fruit, veg, and that sort of thing in your diet. But what I found interesting, I listened to a different podcast you was on, and you talked about eating seasonally. So not just introducing veg and fruit into your diet, but actually eating it when it's coming off the trees. So just to explain to the listeners what that means.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think anyone wants to be known as the meat man unless you're like a butcher or something. But I went into that direction. Like I was animal based, or with Paul Saladino, if you know him, he's very much like, he's come from a carnivore background and stuff. And so I went really, really into that. And I know the podcast you mean, like when I was on that podcast, I was explaining the story as well. I have an Italian background. And so my granddad's from Italy, and he's had an Italian restaurant. I've been brought up on this amazing home cooked food with basil and like fresh tomatoes and all these like olive oil and stuff. Like they're so flavorful, they're so amazing. But I cut them out because I was like, right, I'm going to do this exactly like Paul Saladino, no veg, I'll have seasonal fruit and stuff. I'll try a lot of organs, a lot of meat, and a bit of salt and stuff. And like, it was so restricted. And I felt like my body almost like yearning for the herbs and the tomatoes and things. And so I started to look into it, and I came across Jack Cruz. And I'm not going to go into too much depth in it because it is a massive rabbit hole and it's super scientific. But essentially, like when you really, really strip it back, it makes so much sense. And it's exactly how like our ancestors have lived forever. Like they haven't had access to all these different things in the supermarket. The idea is that you eat what's in season and what's local to you, because essentially the sun is giving light information. That information is stored in everything, stored in cows stored in us. And when we're barefoot, we're connecting to the ground. That's also got information. So you've got this information that's passing across from like the sun, the earth, the things that are growing from it. If you now eat something that's completely out of season and you're eating like kiwis from New Zealand, that's got completely different, that's from a different hemisphere. That's got different light information. And the idea is that that affects your gut and how you process it. And so I've always wondered why, well, first of all, things like bananas and stuff taste like shit compared to when you actually go to Costa Rica and you get them fresh off a tree, like obviously. But actually what's happening in your gut, like I find that sometimes bananas repeat on me a little bit. Like mango, I don't feel great on it when I eat it out from the supermarket here. And I've spent a lot of time in Costa Rica, and it is a night and day difference between how my body feels. Like it was literally like clockwork when I was eating in season there. And so I really adopted that methodology, looked into it a lot more, and it just makes so much sense. So that's kind of what I mean when I say like eat locally to you, because it's got information in it that's resonating with your body and your body understands that.
No, and you said something about eating watermelon out of a plastic, container, like from Tesco's or whatever it is. And that was something that I really related to, because you eat that and it literally is like eating water or air. It's just, there's literally no flavor to it. You go on holiday and you get one of the watermelons off the stands and it's like a completely different experience. So, you're not only losing nutrients and stuff, but you're losing like all the flavor and everything that's included. So,
yeah, and that's also something along my journey of trying to create this new food system that I've realized there are so many steps involved. Like when you go to the supermarket and you see the milk in there or you see the fruit, if you could see the journey that fruit has had, it is nuts, because it doesn't just go straight to the supermarket. There's checkpoints in between, it's frozen, it's got warehousing, it's stored. Obviously it's going to taste like shit because it's lost the quality of it from the second that it was picked. And then you also look at how they're able to produce that on such a mass scale and where that's actually coming from. And to be able to grow that amount of watermelon to get every single Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, like you think how much there is, the volume. So they have to take shortcuts. So that's just one of the things, like when you go back to local and you come to a farm that only grows, okay, right now, like whatever the season is, they've only got strawberries or blackberries or something. And you do have to have a little bit of a loss of the fact that, okay, I can't get mango in the UK, and I can't have certain things like in the winter, there is nothing really in season in the UK fruit-wise. It's very, very scarce. There's a lot more like root vegetables. But this is the other thing, is like, I will start to eat a lot more fat in the winter, because that's typically what our ancestors in the UK would have done. They would have eaten a lot of bone broths, a lot more like hearty, warm, fatty, meaty foods. And then in the summer, you tend to eat like what's in season, like a lot more fruit.
Let's take a quick moment to talk about something that fits perfectly with the theme of optimizing your lifestyle, Nuchido TIME Plus. By naturally boosting NAD+, it supports your cells' energy, repair, and resilience. What's really interesting is that Nuchido TIME Plus activates many of the same beneficial pathways as exercise and fasting, amplifying the results of healthy habits you're already implementing. It's all about working with your biology to help you feel and perform at your best. Head to Nuchido.com and use the code PEMFPOD for 20% discount off your first purchase.
And something else you mentioned a little bit before then was the grounding. We've touched on it already before, but I love grounding. But for me, I see you a lot more with your shoes off than what I ever do. We just come back from the Health Optimization Summit at the weekend, and you still got your shoes. You still got no shoes on.
Yeah, I can't say that I was grounding in that building, but I mean, the biggest thing is I just don't like shoes. I like the feeling of having my feet out.
Yeah, and it's more comfort, isn't it? Our feet aren't designed to be shoehorned into those kind of the designs that they have now. So it changes. I've started using those barefoot shoes or Vivo barefoots, those sorts of things. They start changing the way you walk, and you're almost walking on the front of your foot rather than like on our heels, which is so cushioned now. And it's like, so it changes the way we even walk. But connecting back to nature again, like we say, with grounding, it's I think I'm seeing it more and more now. Like, it used to be so hippie and fringe and that sort of thing, but we're seeing people getting into it and understanding it and the science even behind it. So, but for me, you had a little bit of an experience as well with grounding, which is actually, a bit of a danger because you ended up with an infection.
Yeah.
But can you talk about that, just to share that with our...
Yeah, I mean, look, I take it to extremes because I am that kind of person. When I find something I love, I go so deep into it. And I love grounding, and it's, it more than I do, but 15 minutes of grounding and reducing inflammation that it has on your brain, your overall body, your central nervous system. Like, if you don't believe the science, go out and just do it and like see how much better you feel, especially if you're someone that doesn't actually spend that much time in nature and ever get your shoes off on the grass, because that's a weird idea to you. You will feel the benefits of it. But there's one case, and they are actually making an exception now, but there's one case where like it's very difficult to be, well, you can't. It's playing football, and I've played football since I was 6. Like, I absolutely love it. Sunday league, get on like the football boots. They're literally these tight little ballerina shoes, and because I've spent so much time with my feet outside of shoes, they've definitely splayed out a lot more. And so when I was playing football, I got back into football. I joined a Sunday league team, and I was getting really bad blisters. And I think just for being barefoot for so long, I kind of just dismissed the fact that there is like bacteria on the floor that you don't want to get into open wounds, and especially blisters. But essentially, I played football, got a blister, big, like it went like black from like the blood, and then it popped, and then didn't really do anything about it. And I was walking, I know exactly where it was. I was on a farm, and there was literally like this mud that my foot went into, and I was loving it. I was with a friend, like, oh yeah, like joking around and stuff. And there's like these mosquitoes flying in it, and like flies and stuff, and didn't think too much of it. I went on a flight to Greece, and this was a couple of days after. It was really weird. I was absolutely fine when I got on the flight. Started to feel my lymph glands around my groin starting to hurt. I was like, well, it's such a weird feeling. And then literally within a few hours, I was with my girlfriend, and she was laughing at me. She's like, I was like, God, my leg's so sore. She's like, stop complaining. Like joking at me. And it's really difficult because I was trying not to be like a little baby about it, but it's such a weird pain. I couldn't describe it. But within another couple of hours, I couldn't walk. I'd literally lost the ability to walk. So we went to hospital, and I was in a wheelchair, just unable to walk. And it was so strange. The doctors couldn't work out what had happened. But essentially I got lymphangitis, and so I had these like red marks going up my leg, and that's what was a telltale sign for the doctor. And she as soon as she saw that, she was like, I know exactly what it is. And I know you've got a story on antibiotics, but then I was in such a state, I was almost passing out because of the pain. And so they put me on antibiotics. I didn't know what else to do. It was just getting worse and worse, but I was moments away from sepsis in Greece, where they didn't speak English in the hospital, and I don't know what the hell's going on with me at all. And I've been healthy for like, I've never had issues at all like that. So it was so strange to me. And then I had to go into antibiotics, and that's also a really interesting story because it helped me. It did save my life. I actually would have died. I would have got sepsis, and like, I don't know what else I could have done. There's no holistic thing. And maybe there is out there, but I don't know. Like, there's nothing I would have done in Greece that I would have known to save my life in that situation. But then the aftercare for it was more antibiotics and more antibiotics. And then I had like, started with the intravenous ones, and then there was like tablets, and there was like a course of like 2 weeks I had to do, and then another 2 weeks. And the intravenous saved my life. I felt tons better. I was in the hospital. There's videos of me eating raw liver in the hospital. I was doing everything I could. I was going outside, like trying to ground as much as possible and get sunlight on my body. But then the aftercare, once I was back to normal health, was these antibiotics, and I couldn't work out, like, I feel fine. Maybe the infection's there, maybe it's not, but I want my body to start to heal itself now. And my gut was in pieces. So it didn't really make sense to me to keep taking the antibiotics. So I made the decision to stop taking the antibiotics and let my body heal. And I felt like that was the right move. And this is that balance of like, modern medicine does have a place, and that I really was like naive, never trusted it. But in that situation, it saved my life. But there was a point where like it was too much, and they were giving me all these different antibiotics that were just ruining my gut. And so I had to make that decision to stop.
No, I agree. And it's like you say, it's the exact same scenario I went through, just a catalogue of antibiotics, painkillers, everything, and you just get lost in that. And what you don't understand is what that does to your gut as well. Like, it absolutely destroys the gut microbiome and all that sort of thing. And it lasts for quite a long time. So I know you kind of went back into your raw eating and everything after that. I think there was some like cheese dishes or something that were like high in gut microbiome or stuff that kind of brought you out of that. But it's really important to kind of, like you say, the reliant on the, you know, in the UK it's the NHS, and I was the same. You know, I was also very close to sepsis at the time, and I think if they didn't operate on me, you know, I probably wouldn't be here now talking to us on this podcast. There's definitely that need for it, but it's the aftercare and the healthy living thereafter, and, you know, trying to get yourself back in and then preventing it in the future. You know, there's no, right, this happened because of this, so you should do this from now on. It's just kind of like, right, fixed you back in there, and here's a catalogue of antibiotics to take for the next few years. So
yeah, I think anyone listening to this right now, if you're ever in this situation and you are out of ideas on what you can do holistically to heal, like definitely don't just dismiss antibiotics in that situation, but then also use common sense, listen to your body as much as you can, and still don't disregard everything. Like I was still eating raw liver at the hospital because I knew it's the most nutrient dense thing to fuel my body to allow it to heal. And that's what allowed me to get off the antibiotics sooner, so I could have the liver for my body to heal, but then also repair my gut. Like you say, the stuff was raw dairy. I was lucky that I was in Greece and there was a market nearby that was doing big on sheep, big on goats. I was getting this really high quality raw goat's milk, we're doing like raw sheep yogurt, and having as much of it as possible. I was eating all the seasonal fruit, summertime in Greece, and raw honey as well, locally sourced, and still doing all that stuff. Whereas the reason they do give you the antibiotics and the after course is because not that many people do that. That's a very, very niche thing. And I think that's what we want to get back to, is like, just take it upon yourself to heal your body at all times, and don't ever just get rid of that and rely on antibiotics.
There's another, because it's almost like the hospitals used to get it. Some of the hospitals used to have Sundex, and it's like, you know, when people are super sick, and I don't think it really exists in the UK, I might be wrong, but it was like Italy and some of these other countries, they'd actually put some of their patients out on the sun deck for a few hours, you know, to absorb the sun. And there's images of this like from years and years back. So it's kind of like, where have we lost that? Where have we lost that message? It's
all the food in the hospital was, I didn't touch it with the barge pole. I felt bad because I was sending Kaya out on these missions to like literally get a bus in the 40-degree heat to the supermarket 30 minutes down and bring back some raw liver. And to be fair to her, she did it and got me the high quality foods. But otherwise I would literally have had to eat stuff out of a microwave packet. And that's what they feed people in hospitals. And my grandma was in the hospital for a little bit, and the food that she was giving her, you know, me and my mum were making her home food so she didn't have to eat that, because that would have made her worse in other ways. So it's crazy. I don't know where we've lost it. We've, again, like prioritizing profit and having the wrong sort of ambitions, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so we've eaten raw meat, we've drunk raw milk. You know, some people might sort of say that there are dangers associated with that as well. So I want to touch on that and understand, you know, what are the dangers associated, and are there ways like to avoid that?
Well, it's the same with everything. Like, again, when I said I looked into the sourcing of the meat, it's exactly the same with raw milk. You just want to know where it comes from. And if you've seen the farms that I've been to, Matt just being the one that stands out to me, and doing the homeopathy, he uses garlic, apple cider vinegar when the cows get sick. He knows every single cow by name, which says a lot about him and his family. And he knows like the generations that his granddad got this cow in or whatever. And there's so much effort. I mean, there was one point where we sat down by this cow pat, and he's like, come and sit here. And he's like looking at it, he's smiling. I'm like, what are you looking at, Matt? It's literally a cow pat. And he's showing me these dung beetles that are going up and going down. And what they were doing is they were like laying eggs in it, but they were only able to do that because the cow didn't have certain vaccines that would kill them off. And that dries out the cow pats, which means that you don't get this spread of bacteria to the cows. And so there's little things like that. When you start to introduce vaccines and hormones, and you start to introduce grain and foods that cows aren't grown up on, you start to mess with the ecosystem. And they've got all these different animals. They use regenerative, is where you essentially move things around and you allow nature to do its thing. And so when you know that's where you're getting your milk from, you can be 100% sure that like you're doing the absolute best to source the highest quality milk. Pasteurization was introduced sort of like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, maybe even like in certain areas and certain countries. And it can get rid of the quality. Like you can have less quality because you start to standardize it and you heat it. And when you do pasteurization on milk, it changes the conformation of the whey. And that's what gives a lot of these like lactose intolerant symptoms. You start to get rid of the enzymes. Again, they're heat sensitive. You denature the nutrients in it. What we're left with in the supermarket is homogenized, pasteurized, skimmed. It's so far from what is coming out of the cow that it's insane that can be sold. And that's why we're getting all these issues. Some people are fine with it, but some people cannot stand supermarket milk. And the amount of people that I've had come, especially at the stand, I was giving out raw buffalo milk, which is A2. So buffaloes are A2. And you've got this like A1 genetic, and you've got this A2 genetic, and you've got like A1, A2. And that's essentially the genetic of the cow. But at some point there was this like break off where cows got A1, and that's introduces like casein. And it's this type of protein that really humans don't actually do that great on. I do struggle a little bit with A1 milk, but when I have A2, I'm absolutely fine. And so buffalo's really good because it's A2, it's super fatty, it's so nutrient, it's honestly the best milk. It's twice as fatty as cow's milk. And I've had maybe like 5 people over the weekend come to me that are lactose intolerant. And I guess I'm a pretty good salesman when it comes to raw milk, but I convinced them to have it. And 2 of them came back to me at the end of the show just saying, like, what the hell have you given me? I feel so good. Like they had energy, they felt amazing on it. And the reason I've got confidence on this is because when I was working for Saladino, I had access to his Instagram. He's got millions of followers on there. And every day I'm seeing thousands of people saying that they've got rid of like psoriasis, they've got rid of eczema, these immune disorders because of the probiotics. They've been able to repair their gut. Essentially, like all these immune disorders come from the gut, and raw milk is such a healing food for your gut. So it just comes down, again, like due diligence, know where it's coming from. But there is a lot of propaganda, especially my mum's generation. Like my mum was so against it. Just things were put out there, and people profited from having like these pasteurization facilities, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot of like conspiracy theories and things, but it is very interesting when you look into it. My grandma grew up on a raw dairy farm. I was very I accepted it. I knew it was a thing, and I've never had a bad experience with it because I always look into where I get it from.
And you get a lot of we looked at some of the comments on the product, and a lot of them, I don't know if it's coincidence, but they seem to be taking it during their pregnancy, or like Organised and taking raw milk, and they're having like a really good experience of it. Like they can't say enough good things about it. Like, is there particular benefits through pregnancy, or is it just kind of like just a coincidence that you've had all these people giving all these comments about it?
It's super interesting. I never expected when I created Organised, it's quite like it's come out of my head. So like I'm a guide. It's quite like a male, in my opinion, like a male brand, but it's lent itself to this functional woman community who have adopted it because they've already got this knowledge of organs and nutrient-dense foods. And pregnancy is essentially like you are creating a human. So you are like, the process is so insane and so amazing in the human body, but that is a massive drain on nutrients in your body. And there's so many things happening, like hormones are completely out of whack. And like, if you look at what a woman is suggested to take in like Holland & Barrett or a supermarket, where it's the first ingredient is like rapeseed oil or sunflower oil. It's insane the amount of processing that goes into it. Baby formula is disgusting. And people are like, oh, can I take this for my baby? It's like I don't know, raw milk or something or whatever it is. Like, could my baby have that? And they're like, I'm in an R in about whole foods, but then you go into like baby formula is so processed. It's just like, it makes no sense. So with all of that, like, I think there's a certain group that have taken it upon themselves to stop trusting what this information that we're given, do the research, take it into their own hands, and have found out that like we need to be eating what our ancestors ate. And so really surprised me, but it makes a lot of sense that our biggest demographic is women that are prenatal, postpartum, even, families. Like I said, like my little brothers, I make them organ smoothies. They've now got associations of organs being tasty. And they're like, yeah, I love raw liver. I love kidney. I love whatever, because they think like they associate it with the smoothies and they've eaten it raw. But I think like the first hurdle was getting Organised into their diet. So it's really helped women and families and restoring lost nutrients in the modern diet.
And you mentioned about Paul Saladino's Instagram, and something that I heard on another podcast he was on was that you don't have Instagram on your phone. And I found that insane because, you're quite active on Instagram in terms of like your content, and everything that goes out is like genuine and it's like really good, like meaningful content.
Yeah.
But I like the message behind the fact that like I have fallen into this world of work, like, and my brand, like the Celerate brand, it's just taken over, and I understand, I'm now up till 10 at night sometimes stupidly on my phone, like, and it's something I preach to stop doing. So I love the fact that you've found that balance and you don't have that, but how are you doing that? How are you managing that? Because I need to learn.
It's not exactly advice that I can give to everyone, because everyone's situation is different. Some people don't give a fuck about Instagram. They just use it to find out what other people are doing. Some people are building businesses on there. I wouldn't be sitting here with you if I hadn't built my online business and my personal brand and like organized where the attention is, which is social media. And so there was, oh my God, like that to me was like a season of my life where I was just always on my phone, and I wasn't scrolling. I was genuinely building content and creating stories and putting myself out there because I had something amazing that I wanted to share. And the only place that people are going to see it is on social media. But then it got to this point where I have like a decent sized following. I've become quite unattached from social media, because at the end of the day, like every piece of content now, the way that the algorithm works is how can I get that hook? What is going to capture that attention in 7 seconds and get them to follow or click the link or whatever. And like, if you do that enough times, it becomes so unhuman.
Yeah.
And so I've gone more towards like YouTube. I love YouTube because it's like longer form, documenting, it's very real, and I can be myself on it. I honestly hate Instagram. But I realized I could still create the content. I can still put the message out there. I can write the bits. I can film the content, film the video, edit, whatever. And someone else can post that for me. Like, and that's because it got to the point where I made that decision because I was on my phone and my screen time is not bad, but it was maybe like 4 hours, and 2 hours was Instagram. And I'd convinced myself that 2 hours was what it took me to like post a reel and like do some research or whatever. And then what happened was I caught myself like 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here on stories. I don't really scroll the feed because that for me was like, I can tell that I'm doom scrolling, but stories. And then I would convince myself that, oh, it's my friend from whatever, or like, oh, I know that guy. Like it makes sense for me to like see what he's up to. And I was like, what the fuck? Like 2 hours. So I made the decision to have someone help me with my Instagram, post for me. And I've completely removed it. I don't have any social media other than, I don't know, Slack, like with my business, if that's accounts, or like WhatsApp. In doing that, probably the best change that I've made. Like I'm very like dialed in. That was the only thing that was really holding me back. And I've become so much clearer, like thinking, clarity's come back. I've got so much more time in the day. My screen time in general is just like way down, like an hour or something. Just like there's no need for it really. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Occasionally people say to me, oh, have you seen what's happening here and here? And like, I don't look at the news. I don't look at like anything on social media. So I have no idea what's going on, but to me, that's a blessing.
We spoke about this before the episode about the Liver King. And I was like, have you seen his latest stuff? Have you seen what's happening? And, and you're like, nope, not seen any of it. And, I need to take a leaf out of that book because I do 8 hours in the office. Sometimes I come home, I've got 2 little girls that are growing up and, they want my attention, they're craving for my attention. And sometimes I sit down and I'm suddenly answering Instagram questions and things like that. So no, it's a really important message, I think, to take. If not go to the extreme of removing it from your phone, but be conscious of it. Maybe you need to put some more time during your working hours to, to clear those off and do it. So
Anton, my mate who is helping me with the posting on it, has certain things in place that are really cool. One is like I can't remember the name of it, but it gives you like a loading time to get onto the app. So it's like 30 seconds or something. And so you click on Instagram, it takes 30 seconds to get open. And then in doing that, it kind of breaks that habit. Because I think we fall into these triggers. And so you might be like sitting on the toilet or it's just sitting on the sofa or whatever it is, and you click on it, you go to it like Instagram, start scrolling, and you lose the time. Whereas if you have something that breaks the pattern, it kind of breaks up a little bit. So there are things out there, and that also ties into something that you're big on, is like the blue light piece as well. And I've got a software on my laptop called Iris, which is really, really cool. And that makes it, I use like a yellow film on the screen for my laptop. And the good thing about Macs as well is the Retina display is non-flicker. So if you got non-flicker and you got a yellow screen on it, really, really helps at nighttime. But then the other piece is on my phone, I just like have the triple click and then it goes to like a red screen. And so doing those things as well at nighttime have been really good as well.
I think that's that's just really resonated with me, because putting that 30-second delay in, I think that would save me, because sometimes there's not even a scenario where I'd open my phone and I've got a split second to open Instagram. Next thing you know, 20 minutes is gone. And you're like, what? That's literally like the thought process I had. And I got so pissed off because I was trying to, obviously building a business is like the most time consuming thing and intensive and stressful. And I also I love my family and I want to spend time with them. And I was getting to this point where I really, really was like divided and stressed. And I was like, there's not enough time in the day. And then all of a sudden I got 2 hours back because I've just deleted Instagram. So that was a huge thing. I feel way more balanced. I work an insane amount because it's my passion. And to me, that's what balance is like working on what you love. I wouldn't want to do anything else, but I have extra hours in the day that I can spend with family and like do other things and work out and go to the sauna and take care of my health. And I feel very, very like in peace, like harmony now with it. Yeah, and that's the most important message. It's just, you know, we're all in this grind. We're all trying to run our own businesses, but enjoy life as well, you know, and spend time with the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to try and wrap this up because we can sit here for absolutely hours talking about all this stuff. It interests me so much. But let's do some quick fire questions because that kind of goes down quite well with our listeners a lot of times. So here we go. If you can only eat one organ meat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Liver.
Cooked or raw?
Raw.
What's the most out there food you've ever tried?
Testicles. Beef testicles.
Biggest nutrition myth you'd love to disappear tomorrow?
That raw milk is bad for you.
Fruit in season you look forward to the most?
Strawberries.
Yeah, good answer. One food you'd never touch?
Rapeseed oil. It's not a food.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
If you could bring back one old school food tradition that's been lost, what would it be?
Old school food tradition. My nan told me about calf's liver with onion, and I tried it. It's actually really nice. That's a good way. Garlic and onion to have calf's liver.
I mean, liver and onion and that sort of thing. And what was it? What was that one that we used to have a lot of the time?
Black pudding?
Bacon? No, liver and bacon or
liver and bacon. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah. And last question to wrap this up: where can people find you? If you're not on Instagram, where can people find you?
I have all my information. Like I still write content. That's all on Instagram, Niall Kiddle. But to be honest, I want everyone to go check out Organised, check out the mission, connect with farmers, and that's just organised.co.
No, thank you so much for spending your time together. I mean, most interesting podcast I've ever done. Not in a studio, in a field, full of cows. They're literally just beside us. We're going to go pat those in a minute.
This is the way.
This is the way forward now. I think this is the next podcast.
Thank you, Andy.
Cheers.